welcome to episode 35 of the RebelRebel podcast. I'm your host, Michael Dargy. The RebelRebel podcast is brought to you by Make More Creative and Drop Bear and Panda Productions. Check them out at www.dropbearandpanda.tv. On today's show, I've got Adam Calver hanging out in Kensington studio to talk about his business, Head On First Aid and Safety, and the cool things he's doing to help protect motorcyclists everywhere. Oh yeah, and he brought me some big Turks. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or check us out at RebelRebelPod.com. I'm sitting here with Adam Calver, and we're in the Kensington studio, and he is in charge of Head On First Aid. Is that right?
Yeah, you bet. Head On First Aid and Safety.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, it's usually Head On First Aid to everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
And just so people know who you are and what you're about, Head On First Aid and Safety. I mean, you do the typical first aid and safety training,
yep.
But you also specialize in something that's close to both of our hearts.
Yeah, so I'm kind of getting out there and doing something different. Kind of my little niche, I guess.
Yeah.
Motorcycle first aid. So it's before I get into kind of how I come to you, I also teach like emergency first aid,
right.
Standard first aid, BLS to healthcare providers, nurses, doctors, all that kind of stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. And now you're local. You're, local
yep.
meaning that you're from Calgary,
yep.
you're from Alberta.
Yep.
And I mean, there's lots of places out there that teach first aid, which is great.
Yep.
And but you do something that's a little different. And
yeah. So I'm trying to, and it kind of evolved a little bit. So I've had the business about 3 years now.
Yeah.
But I was working jobs off and on, and kind of taking it. Funny enough, head on a little bit more, a little more full time now. So, being able, I'm basically a one man show, so I can be mobile and travel around and meet people even at their house, like a studio here, or
cool.
just go to their house. Office, businesses, warehouses. I've taught some building supply stores.
Yeah.
I used to work in the building supply. If you remember Totem back in the day.
I sure do.
Yeah. So Totem Building Supplies, about 40 years. Now it's Rona and Lowe's, and
okay.
Still know some people there. But I had some good experiences with them, and they brought me in basically into their stores and their space, and it works out because then you don't have to go,
book a room or
coordinate to go to a different space across the city or whatever. So
yeah, smart.
Everyone just comes into work and they take the course, which is pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, right on. So how long? And I mean, how long your courses? And I don't want to shill, for your business because that's not what we're about. We're about your rebellious side. But
yeah, so the most of the courses are about a day or two, depending on if it's emergency or standard. The BLS course is usually a few hours.
What's BLS?
BLS, basic life support.
Oh, okay.
So they've developed a little bit more hands-on skills. You use bag valve masks, that kind of stuff for first responders. So two-person CPR, get into that a little bit more. And
now, is a regular CPR with mouth-to-mouth stuff still a thing, or is that?
It is, yeah, but it's interesting. People are always worried about different things going around. So
sure.
There are barrier devices and things you can use, but there are different techniques. You can just do hands-on CPR without actually doing the breath. So
okay.
As long as you're, beating on the chest, doing the compressions,
keeping the blood moving.
It's and it's interesting. It's kind of going. I'm curious to see the next few years. I've talked to a couple of medical professionals too, and I wonder if they even get rid of the breaths altogether because they brought the compressions up the last few years, and so it basically, because it's like a big pump, right?
Yeah.
Or it keeps the blood going throughout the body, and so when you stop doing that, people spend a lot of time or take too much time to do the breaths. You're basically stopping, pushing the blood through the body and getting the heart going, right? So
yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of cool because all this stuff adapts over time.
Yep.
Like I remember when I did my first aid like that in the 80s, it's a lot different than it is now.
Yep.
And I'm going to sort of feed you some stuff here that you came up with something a little new, not like a new technique so much as a new opportunity, because you're a motorcycle rider, like I am.
Yep.
And on a trip you came across some people that had gone down.
Yeah. So, and luckily there's a lot of people within the group that had experience. And like I said, some of the nurses and doctors, professionals. But for anybody that's just an enthusiast riding along on their bike, maybe they might not know what to do, right? So
so just to reframe it, because people that are listening don't know what happened on this trip, but you were on a trip with a bunch of people.
Yep.
You came across a bunch of people went down on this trip, and that sort of inspired you to create something new.
Yeah, so over a course of the trip, over 5 or so days, there's 3 incidents. One was just a minor one, kind of going into the ditch. We're doing a bit of training and stuff, but the other one was going in a corner and just gravel like you would, any other time. And luckily, again, gear, like, and some other people within the, I met some good people at the bike show and stuff too, but, again, the proper gear, if you don't have a full face helmet or you don't have specific, gear down your legs or whatever, or, good pants or like something,
some dragon jeans
dragon jeans, or, really anything that's, and that's one of the biggest, when I started to get information and good feedback from people building the course, was road rash. It was like one of the biggest ones, right?
Right.
And then you think about falling on your hands or shoulder injuries or that kind of stuff, right? So collarbone, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But, so you've got a course specifically for motorcycle riders.
Yeah. So what I've done is I've kind of blended emergency and standard first aid, some components, and then added to it for bike specific things, and then added in the illustrious taking off the helmet if and when, and it's always a very controversial thing.
Sure.
So one of the biggest things is if you have to do CPR, then you want to get the helmet off, right? And hopefully you do have a couple people. It's kind of awkward, like a lot of things when you're on your own, but kind of make do, right? So.
And quick little side note here, if you do come across somebody that's gone down with a full face helmet, some of the helmets have got like an airbag inside the face to keep it snug. And there's a little release valve right by the chin, so look for that. Yeah.
And then they have, like I have a Shoei helmet, and they have the little tabs and everything, which is pretty awesome.
Great.
You just pull them right off.
Oh, awesome. Then
pop them right out, and then you're able to get the helmet off a little easier. So
there you go, Shoei.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll be the sponsor of this show.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of great technology, not just with bikes, but with gear. Coming out. So is there like a kit that you recommend for people to carry with? Like, so that kind of stemmed from a lot of good feedback from the people too. Was one of the healthcare professionals, they carry a nice kit on their bike.
Yeah, it's
one of those MOLLE kind of military industrial little bags.
Oh yeah, right on.
That you pack in there with specific things. It's still kind of a learning journey to get kind of specific things in there.
Yeah.
But something you can put on your bag, you can put into your panniers. You could take it off right away. It's just Velcro. You just rip it off, and then you can help whoever's on the road. So.
Oh, right on.
So that's kind of evolving. It's trial and error, like a lot of the course, and I hope to get good feedback. There's some coming up in March, and
right on.
Get some good feedback from people of the course. So.
Well, and I think it's a long time coming because motorcycle specific injuries are usually. I mean, it's not great.
No.
When even you have a small spill,
Yep.
Even a little bit of road rash sucks.
Yeah.
Like a lot, or broken bones. I mean, I've broken more bones than I care to imagine.
Yeah.
Typically more on dirt bikes than on street bikes.
Mm-hmm.
But to have that extra knowledge, to be able to know that there's a kid out there that we could pack around with us or get some training to help our friends on the road. I think that's really cool, and I think it's worth doing.
Well, and then at the end of the day, like if you it's not a motorcycle specific course you're looking for, to at least have something, right? Like it's amazing the people I run into that they don't have any skills or any know-how of first aid, let alone what to do, right? And then people typically, not all people, but people typically panic, and then you got to worry about traffic and
scene management.
Scene management is a part of it too, and it's interesting to see even the basic courses evolve the last few years. Is like a lot of people, especially in Calgary and Alberta, kind of tunnel vision. They always want to help people, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you get that tunnel vision, then something else happens, or you're not, you kind of have oversight of other things going on. So
yeah, well, I know it's been said that under ideal and perfect circumstances, a human can basically manage 7 types of stimuli at any one time. So at that time, so if you're driving, you've got the gas, you've got your steering wheel, you've got your blinker, you got the radio, right. So and we haven't even talked about watching the road yet.
Yeah.
let alone the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
But as you come under stress, that narrows. So you go from 7 things to suddenly 4 things to 3 things to 2 things to 1 thing, which is your tunnel vision. So, to make people aware that that's, this is how it's going to happen in the scene and how can you mitigate that, I think is really important.
Well, and it's interesting to see even people that are trained. I did a course recently, and the lady was excellent, but she's really nervous about getting tested on doing CPR on the dummy, but she actually did in real life. So it's interesting to see, like, what kind of goes through your head, and people react differently. Like testing, I never liked tests growing up. Like nobody likes getting tested, but she kind of was nervous, and I'm like, oh, like just take your time, kind of be patient, get through it. And she's like, well, I've done it in real life, but I'm nervous about the test.
Test anxiety is a thing, man. Like,
So, but yeah, she did great, but it's, and she's like a lot of people, she did in real, a lot of people haven't done it in real life, right? But she actually physically done it, right? So to actually to be there and be doing it. So
I mean, there's many people, I'll use the sweeping generalization, that we live on a planet that's mostly water. You better learn how to swim. Now, we also live in a world that's mostly people. So, you should learn some first aid, if not for yourself, but also for others around you as well. So would you say, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but are you in a bit of a mission to, get people up to speed?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've, and how we kind of connect is through Trev at Too Cool. So, he's big into safety, and then I met a lot of people kind of this last little bit too. Shout out to AMSS, Leanne at Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society. Met her at the bike show, and awesome lady. She's been really great promoting, and actually doing a course up at CycleWorks in Edmonton.
Oh, great.
In March. So, but yeah, we connected, and like a lot of people in the industry are big on safety. Everybody's passionate about the sport and growing it and getting more people on the road. And at the end of the day, just my background in safety and kind of who I am, I thought, with the things that happened a few years ago, it's kind of had the old light bulb in the head, right?
So, well, because you got expertise, you got a passion.
So I did.
Merge.
I also worked not crazy amount of time, but as a firefighter and on ambulance too. So a bit of background there, and kind of what to expect, and then again bringing yourself down to a level and staying calm and working through the situation, right? So.
Yeah, because that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Right. How do you triage things? How do you figure, what happens first, what happens next? Right. Now, you ride. Okay, let me back up a second.
Yeah.
So I've been riding a long time, like a long time, and I'll never forget when the CBR 900RR Fireblade first came out, and I want to say that Blackfoot Motorsports gave us one to test drive because I was teaching with Trev at the time. And that was the very first time that, like, I've been on fast bikes. I've ridden almost everything there is to ride. But that was the first time that my adrenaline actually spiked. Like, I cannot believe how freaking powerful that motorcycle was. Now, that was a lot of years ago. That was the first one. You're currently riding a 2009 CBR 1000RR, which, is what, 150 horse.
Yeah, something around there. And then even before we started here, they were looking to develop, because it's interesting, all the manufacturers are always trying to, be competitive and outdo themselves. And so like Ducati has theirs that's over 200 and something horsepower now. And then Honda wants to do one finally, and for the CBR people, and kind of the last few years, they kind of been, I think, disappointed. So they're, not to say you have to be this big, crazy, whatever horsepower thing, but just to get some more technology and some things out there, right? So like BMW did their new 1000RR again this year, and then you look at all the other bikes, even the adventure bikes, and it's such a huge market, and and then branching out to that is kind of the goal or something someday too. But yeah, it's a crazy bike. It's
because it doesn't weigh a lot either. That's the other side.
Yeah, it's about 400 something pounds. Don't quote me on that, but
150 horse, 400 pounds. Like,
so you think even when I had my Civic a little while ago, it was like 140 horsepower.
Right,
it's a big car, right?
And so weighed like a couple thousand.
So there's things like crazy missile on wheels. I'm again, just the way I am, and ride it not crazy on the road, but that thing will do 300 kilometers an hour. Yeah, and get you in trouble pretty quickly. So, and it's interesting too, and I know Trev's talked about it and a couple others as well, that we don't really have a specific way you upgrade in CCs, kind of like Europe, right? So you can, even years ago, I don't know how many years now, there's a kid that test drove a 700 Gixxer, and he test drove it down the road, hit a pole, and died. Like, it's just
happens like that.
There's no, you write a little test and then you go get your big crazy bike, right? So but
so from your perspective, what are some of the things that people that you would add, if you could, to help increase people's safety? Maybe it's gear. I mean, knowledge is one. So head on safety, right? Head on first aid and safety. Do that. Let's put that done. Then ride, dress for the ride, or dress for the slide, not the ride. Right. What equipment would you add?
Yeah. So we were talking a little while ago, and I was actually at the show with Too Cool, which was a really, really great experience. With a couple, actually quite a few people, like Trev said in his, the instructors were there, but then I was one of the black shirts, as he said, and volunteering your time, right? So you're all past students, and you just have a passion for kind of getting the brand and the name out there, and getting more awareness, and hopefully people take a course and get great instruction, right? So there are other things, and I know they've done some great basically trial and error, and gone out there and looked at different manufacturers for different things, and they found these vests that are really awesome. So I was with one of the guys that kind of did the background in that, and we got along really well over the show, and so we kind of hung out most of the time, and then everyone else was kind of on the other side of the table and promoting the courses and stuff. And
what are the vests?
So Hid Air is the brand.
Okay.
They're out of Japan, and interesting enough, even my wife, she rides horses, and so they actually started with equestrian.
Oh wow!
And then they got into motorbikes, which is interesting. So
I can see the similarities. So what do the vests do? Is it
so basically there's a couple different systems, but you're tethered to a bike. And then as soon as you come off the bike, in less than a second, it inflates and completes spine protection all the way down your back.
Wow.
And then the big thing was the collar and around the neck. So it reduces mortality rate. They're saying about 90%.
Holy moly!
Once you come off. So not only do you have hopefully a good helmet, but then you have all the way around your neck, great support. All the way down your back, there's a little thing that fans out for your tailbone and everything.
So that's cool.
And then the way it wraps around, it protects a bit of your chest and into your ribs and that kind of stuff too.
Very cool. Just make sure you unplug it, I guess, before you get off your bike.
No, and that's kind of the funny thing at the show is that was the number one question. Everybody like, oh, what do I do? And like we all, being motorcyclists, you take a break or, get off and get a coffee or something. But people always ask that, but it has to be a certain amount of pressure.
Oh,
so,
I see.
So if you'll end up dragging your bike down before it goes off. So.
Oh, okay.
And you really have to, if you have a couple people working on it, there's a couple tests ones too. You really have to tug on it. And the nice thing about the system too is there's other ones like Alpine Star and everything that have in the coats. But all you have to do is switch out a CO2 cartridge, which is pretty awesome, for $30. And then cool. It slowly deflates. You put in a CO2 CO2 cartridge, and then you ride away, as opposed to some of the other designs and coats and stuff like that where you have to actually send it away, and now you're out of coat or vest or whatever it is.
Totally,
right?
You got to buy 2 or 3 to.
Yeah, so
Smart.
And for them, they're actually Western distributor too cool, which is sweet. So
nice.
Yeah, so they're really trying to get them out there and again get people safe on 2 wheels, and I think it's a great thing. I want to get one too. They have a couple different ones, like there's the bright green one, but they have a black one, and then it's kind of luminescent, kind of like the police have.
Oh, cool.
And then it goes all the way throughout. You can get the one. I was thinking I get the one that is luminescent throughout the whole vest.
Yeah.
So actually the little dots are all the way front to back or whatever.
Nice.
And then you can light up like a
Christmas
tree when the lights go on you, right? So
well, that's fantastic.
But
Cool. Any other gear you'd recommend?
Always good boots.
Yeah.
And I know Trev does a great job for the class portion, going through that the first night before you even get on the bike. Good boots. Again, brand isn't really important. Obviously, like Alpine Star and all those guys are like the big ones.
Yeah.
But gloves, jacket, depending if you have. There's some people that wear a mesh with the armor, that kind of thing. Right. Maybe they're more into like dirt bikes or want to be a little cooler. But again, the leathers and that kind of stuff. And then there's really durable, more like the enduro kind of jackets.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what the material actually is in the vest too. I can't, if I get the pronunciation wrong, I think it's EMRE. I can't remember.
I'll Google it. I'll put links for all this stuff down in the show notes.
But it actually has it slides. It's almost like Kevlar. It's essentially like a type of Kevlar and really durable material. So, and then you have your some manufacturers have like the D30 in the elbows, the shoulders, in your back, that kind of stuff. And basically, if you ever seen it, they have a couple cool videos about it, and I actually have it in the presentation. So if something hits it, it actually basically expands around you, which is kind of neat. So it's kind of like this orange kind of jelly.
Oh, now there is also some sort of ballistics gel or whatever that on impact it hardens.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
Great
so and
idea.
then like your knees, your butt, or your hips, that kind of thing, wherever they put it in the gear.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, very cool,
man. And then you can, obviously you get into more of the suits and all that kind of stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So, and I haven't really delved into that, but I know the instructors and stuff like that have gone to the track and gone to courses and that kind of thing, right? And
what are the top 5 things you'd put in your first aid kit for a motorcyclist?
The top 5 things. So you have your you can get those rapid clots, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's more like a military grade thing.
Yeah.
And then again, it's interesting whenever people buy a first aid kit, they kind of throw it in their car.
Totally.
And they don't know what's in there, right? In it? So different bandages, ones that breathe well. You can think it's like a specific brand, but like Tegaderm. So it kind of goes over the wound, but it lets it breathe properly.
Gotcha.
So it's good for road rash, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then a good, like an ointment of some sort.
Like antibacterial thing?
Yeah, and then you can get either the bottle or the liquid, like basically it's like a type of iodine.
Yeah.
But you can get the swabs and that kind of thing too.
Gotcha.
That's kind of like alcohol swabs, but to clean yourself up a little better.
Yeah.
And then a really good wrap. There's a couple different ones that are more elastic that you can wrap your not only your limbs but your depending on the size.
Yeah.
So you can do your extremities, but then bigger ones for your knee, that kind of thing. So and then trying to get it all. The cool thing is try and get it all within that little pack, right?
Right. Yeah, you're riding a motorcycle, not a lot of room.
Yeah, and then your butterflies, your sutures, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a really cool thing my brother sent me the other day, and he actually volunteers with Foothill Search and Rescue.
Oh, great!
So he does a lot of courses, and he's always at MEC and always looking at cool things for out in the wilderness. But there's a cool thing now you can actually put beside the wound, and it's like a suture with these zip ties. So, and it's almost like stitches. Yeah, I'll try and find the link for you.
Oh my God, how cool is that?
But you put it over the wound, and then you pull these things, and it's like it's like stitches that pull the wound together.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so
that's
and
cool.
it's just a tiny little plastic thing. So
Yeah.
again, you can throw it in a kit or
wow,
that kind of thing.
so you'd obviously have to clean and dry the spot.
Yeah, and then you just put it over there.
Wow,
kinda
man,
stick
that's
it
neat.
on, and it's kind of, and then it has like almost like a 3M kind of stickiness or glue to it.
Yeah.
It sticks on your skin.
Way easier than stitching yourself up on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Which I may or may not have done once or twice. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so that's awesome, Kit. What's your do you have any big plans for rides this year?
It might be a little low key, like trying to get the course going and
Yeah.
get out to the communities and events, and but I've always wanted to do the California coast.
Yeah.
It's kind of on my top I guess list. And then I've heard some really good rides. There's that Destination Highways, those maps, so they're really good. Those guys out of BC. So into Washington, there's again into Oregon, even if you get into Oregon.
Oh yeah, Oregon's beautiful.
I've been into BC a little bit, a couple different rides there, and actually rode to, my wife's from Vancouver Island, so I rode there, and
Nice.
and there's some really nice riding there.
Oh, yeah.
If you have an enduro, you can probably have a little bit more fun, but yeah, just and again, it's a little quieter too. Some of those roads out to on the south end of Port Renfrew, that kind of thing, are really good, really twisty. You just got to be careful of some weird blind corners, but
And logging trucks.
and logging trucks, yeah. So, but yeah, no, I hope to, I have the CBR right now, and if I can swing it somehow, I hope to keep it. But I'm looking to get into the kind of the adventure or enduro racing, right, where you can get out to. We met a friend a couple years ago in Kelowna too, and he had a BMW, like a lot of people, and
like the GS.
the GS, yeah. And he said, if you can get that type of bike or something similar, you can. The roads are endless.
Yeah.
Like you can, and funny enough, I had a buddy. He had some couple sport bikes, and they met a couple guys in enduros and somewhere through the mountains. But so they were going to meet him on the other side. Well, the guys in the enduros is like a cakewalk, right? Like they're over there an hour and a half, and these other guys took like 3 hours to get in the same way. So, but and then the accessibility and being able to pack a lot more things and that kind of thing, right?
Well, yeah, totally.
So right now I have my, it's kind of like a little sliver on the back of my bike, which is can't really do much. But again, trying to get a kit. I actually have, other than the little mole kit, I have a couple other ones right now that you can fit into that little sliver in the back of my bike, right?
Right.
Technically, you can put a seat on there, but no one really wants to ride on that thing.
Well, no, God no.
But
very cool.
So yeah.
So, I mean, we talked a little bit about. We talked a lot about what you're doing.
Yep.
And the way that you're sort of changing things and being different in this industry, which I think is really cool. Mm-hmm. Next up for you is just building out this course, like getting more people involved in it, helping people with their safety, knowing what to do in accident scenes and stuff like that, specific to motorcycles.
Yep.
And so building a business is tough, right? Like you've been doing this for 3 years.
3 years off and on, but this is kind of I came home. I was doing a job off and on away from home, and but yeah, it's tough. Like you kind of, when we talked before this, it's always a grind. You're trying to drum up business or find the next client or customer, and kind of get out there in the community and show that you're again different and trying to do something, not only the bike thing, but being able to teach in other capacities too. So but so it's always. Because you're always the kind of the little guy, right?
Exactly.
Against some of the bigger guys or companies, and I do teach the heart and stroke, which is good. So people always get certified for 3 years, and that's something I kind of threw in. Part of the bike course too is a takeaway, because overall, ideally, the big thing someday I want to do the Alberta like OH&S, some sort of certification.
Right. Yeah.
But along the way, they'll still be certified in emergency first aid. So you still have some of the components of that. Yeah. You'll have your CPR AED for 3 years. And
awesome. Do you teach the AED?
The AED, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I have some trainers and
Cool.
And then, contrary to what a lot of people think, it's not like the movies or shows. You're not actually shocking the heart. You're trying to get it out of the wrong rhythm, right?
Right.
So
Right, yeah.
people always, that's one of the big questions is, it's shocking the heart. And, when you flatline, it's not like the shows or the Flatlines movie or whatever, where you bring people back, right? You're
Right.
unfortunately toast pretty much. So, so you're kind of those couple rhythms it's looking for, and you're going through the heart. So
Yeah, that's great.
but it's and then actually physically a couple of places I've done courses at physically grabbing the AD from there and the community hall or rinks or whatever,
Doing the whole thing, right?
and then showing the people what's in the kit. So rather than just looking at a trainer that you kind of throw on the dummy and
Right.
and
How the hell do you get it off the wall?
yeah, like getting it off the wall, or maybe it's at a mall and security grabs it or whatever, right? And then what's actually in the kit, like one of those horrible like Bic razors that you got to shave their chest and
What, really?
and, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so you shave their chest off, and if they have a nice coiffed of hair, and then for the pad to get in the area, right? So it's,
I didn't even think of that.
yeah. So to actually have again like an idea what you're grabbing, the prompts it makes. So all AEDs are the same but different. So they prompt you, or you put the nodes in and put the pads on, and but it's interesting because I've heard a couple things too, where they might take kind of wherever they go with the program, but they might even take the AED out because it's very simple. You basically grab it, put the pads on. It has a big picture where you put the pads.
Yeah.
Plug in the nodes, and it analyzes the person, and like it does everything for you, right?
Wow, this is like when you take your car to the mechanic now, you just hook it up to a computer. It tells you what's wrong with it.
And then you basically shock the person. The big thing is you make sure that no one's touching them, right? Because then
Right.
all of a sudden you have two people there with their hearts are out of rhythm and whatever. So
Yeah, that's no good. So I guess the lesson here is, gentlemen, wax your chests regularly to save some time, and a Bic razor.
yeah.
You're a movie buff.
Yep.
What's your now? Are you into the Oscars? Are you that much of a movie buff?
No.
Okay.
Funny enough, I know I really struggle with the Oscars.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the time I'll see some of the movies, but
Yeah.
and then I even saw today there's more controversy because they're trying to squeeze the show together, that they're actually awarding people during commercials, which there's like a big outrage in Hollywood. So now there's not even a host. I can't remember who it was, but he stepped down and
what's it?
is it Chris Rock maybe?
No, I want to say it was Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart, yeah.
Yeah,
that's who it
because he
was.
had some controversy
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, because we're such a sensitive, people right now.
Yeah, so there's actually, for the first time ever, no Oscar host, which is interesting. But I fantasy, sci-fi, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
I was basically grew up with Star Wars with the VHS.
Nice.
From being recorded from CTV, and and so we always had those going. Me and my brother, and
What's your favorite?
Was that?
What's your favorite right now?
I don't know. I like the Marvel universe, like the
yeah?
superhero movies. Yeah, it's there's a lot going on. There's Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's going to be cool, I think.
Yeah.
It's the first female main superhero, which is awesome. And then like the the Avengers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit series as well.
Oh, okay.
So kind of the more the fantasy or superheroes, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
Kind of, but then I enjoy the the dramas, that kind of stuff too. Like I said, I'll look into some of the other Oscar contenders, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Have you seen A Star Is Born yet?
Yep.
What'd you think?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy. God, Bradley Cooper's talented.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is they didn't even nominate him for the was it the Oscars or the Golden Globes for the best director?
No, Oscars they didn't.
Yeah, which is surprising.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so too, because
I thought they did a really great job, and with Lady Gaga, like the one song or whatever, right? But
my God, she was good. Like I was really impressed with
and
her.
then the Bohemian Rhapsody was really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so
it's
that was
on my list.
So good that they brought him in for a fundraiser to do with Queen, which is really cool.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
they actually use him for that. So, but
he's such a talented actor.
But yeah, always into movies, seeing movies at theaters. There's some pretty crazy ones around the city now with the big comfy seats and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, it is nice going to the movies now, actually, because you can reserve your seat.
You reserve your
seat.
It's
actually comfortable.
Yeah, I remember growing up, even through like Episode 1 or Star Wars or whatever. You have to stand outside for 2 hours to get a seat.
Yeah,
and, show up early and hopefully the person you're going with was there on time or whatever, right? or you wouldn't even get into some seats, right? So
yeah, so true, man. Okay, so let's button this up this way. Mm-hmm. You've been doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. You're really just going head on with your business right now.
Yep.
What advice would you give to other, what I call rebels in waiting, mm-hmm. people that, are just on the verge of taking the leap and doing their own thing? Mm-hmm. What's one of the ways that you get there? What's one of the ways that you dig in?
Well, just being patient, and trying to find, again, outlets that you can, kind of get into the mainstream, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Just being, it's got to be something different, I think, and something kind of passionate you want to do. And other than teaching the first aid, the regular courses, kind of found something that's a little bit different and something exciting, right? So that I enjoy. So if I can, at the end of the day, somebody takes something out of the course that can help somebody on the side of the road.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, right? To think.
Yeah.
So even doing the rider training, if you come back and something kind of impacts your life or something gets you out of danger or emergency.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we want everybody, whether it's Too Cool or AMSS or whatever organization, to keep people safe on two wheels.
Yeah, right.
So it's just keep your head up, keep grinding with the little guys, and get out there, get out to events, and kind of be known. Like I'm bigger into social media now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people. And
are you an extrovert or an introvert, or would you say a combination?
Funny enough, I growing up, I was super shy.
Yeah.
I never really. I only had a couple friends in high school. Mind you, we moved from Calgary down to Okotoks and graduated down there. But now I'm a little more extrovert, and I kind of have to get out of your comfort zone and talk to people. And it's really hard. Like even a lady the other day was doing her monitoring for teaching. So you have to be monitored by another instructor so you can get your certification.
Right. Yeah.
And she was super nervous. And again, she's in healthcare industry. She's a nurse at one of the hospitals. And so she always deals with people and patients on a regular basis, but she was super nervous on teaching, right? Because again, you're away from your peers. You're working with people just off the street or students or whoever.
Yeah.
And so for her, it was kind of get out of her comfort zone. And at the end of the day, it's what you have to do, right, to kind of be different. And again, like a lot of the research was the UK, Australia, some of the States, but it was interesting to find nothing really around here for motorbikes. So, but
wild.
Yeah.
I need to give you a shout out. In tradition, what is now becoming a tradition for motorcycle episodes is you brought me a bag of Big Turks.
Yeah.
From Nestle. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. So I kind of how we got connected. I heard you and Trev talking. It was pretty funny. And funny enough, Big Turk I actually grew up with Big Turk as one of my favorite candy bars. And
right.
It was hard to find those. Like I was saying before, hopefully they're not getting rid of them on the bottom shelf with a little bit of dust. But I think they're still kind of a classic. Hopefully they're around still.
I hope so too, because come on, Nestle, don't give up on this.
Yeah.
We're here for you. We're pulling for you.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And man, Adam, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
Love the journey that you're on, and can't wait to take your course.
Yep.
And pack up my bag to put on my motorcycle, because that's something I've been lacking.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Hey Rebels, the next episode welcomes Caitlin Kirk, Rebel Accountant, and she will bend your brain with her approach to business and keeping track of your money and stuff. She's awesome. Don't miss it. Hit that subscribe button.